¿Qué diferencia hay? ¿Ya lo viste? Elige publicidad. Tortillería Manuel. De luz.
When I was a child, my mother used to tell me a variety of stories. Some of them have remained intact in my memory over the years, while others have slowly faded away, like fleeting shadows in my mind. But there is something in those stories that still resonates with me, something that drives me to preserve them, to keep them alive. That is why I have decided to share these stories, to preserve them and keep them in a safe place, so that they last, not only in my mind, but also in the hearts of those who listen to them.
Ahí está ese grande. ¿Ya lo vieron? Y se ve que tiene, pero unas se ven pálidas y todavía no han madurado por completo.
Of course, human nature tends to shape stories with slight variations as we remember and share them. This tendency to adjust and add new elements is part of what makes stories so fascinating and unique in each telling. Memory and imagination work together to recreate and reinterpret past experiences, giving them new luster and meaning each time.
Este también es otro, mira, pero no le tocó este año. Mira, este apenas está saliendo, pero este es de las chiquititas, chiquititas.
Today, as I walk through these corners full of memory, the story of a child who ignored his parents' warnings about the safety of the home and the peace of the social environment has returned to my mind. Sometimes, we launch without caution into unknown directions, driven by our innate need for adventure and exploration. The boy in our story immersed himself in a journey motivated by his uncontrollable curiosity. One day, while his parents were starting their daily work very early, Jose woke up and watched them getting ready for their usual jobs. His father was getting ready to go out to trade, while his mother was preparing to go to the market and obtain the necessary products for food, both for themselves and for the farm animals. Meanwhile, Jose's tasks consisted of getting up, getting ready, and heading to school. As the minutes passed while his parents completed their preparations, they realized that Jose had not yet gotten up to begin his daily activities. His father came over to remind him of the importance of getting up on time, warning him that time would not wait for him. In a soft voice, Jose responded that he was feeling bad that day, and that, to avoid complications, he preferred not to attend school. Worried, Jose's parents decided that it was best for him to stay home to rest and recover. With a sick expression on his face but his heart beating with emotion, Jose knew that he had deceived his parents. Finally, that day he would have the opportunity to embark on an adventure, exploring unknown paths like the ones we travel today, in search of something beyond what he had ever achieved.
Sí.
Mira.
Te digo porque luego te vas a confundir.
When Jose's parents left home, the euphoria of starting the adventure took over him. With overflowing energy and palpable impatience, Jose quickly changed, packed his luggage, and left the house without worrying too much about supplies. In his hurry, he only took a piece of bread, a rope, and some water. On an outing like this, his father would surely have recommended him to bring more food, a snack, a blindfold, salt, for food and other needs, matches, a coat, a larger water bottle, a raincoat, and his machete, among other things. As he began his journey, Jose entered a path that he always wanted to explore beyond what he had reached before. His objective was to reach the top of a small but intriguing mountain, about which he had heard stories of caves with treasures and many surprises. Despite repeated warnings, the boy could not understand the danger that lurked beyond the confines of his home. To him, the outside world was a vast territory of adventure waiting to be explored. However, what the boy did not know was that sometimes the outside world could present hidden dangers, challenges, and threats that should not be underestimated. As he began the journey, Jose felt full of energy and smiled because his goal seemed achievable and easy to achieve. However, as time passed, each step made him feel the weight of the additional effort due to the morning's weather conditions. Jose began to resent his body. However, his spirit was renewed by contemplating new landscapes that were not recorded in his memory. Jose's eyes were delighted to discover spaces never before registered in his mind, which made every step worthwhile in that exciting expedition. A Upon reaching what seemed to be halfway through his journey, Jose decided to take the first sip of water from his bottle of just 800 milliliters. He also ate half a piece of bread and finally chose to take a short break for a few minutes. During this time, he took the opportunity to admire the road and the different elements of the environment that surrounded him. He observed with fascination the plants, trees, insects, birds, and rocks that he found in his path. Everything seemed amazing to him, because Jose was a person very sensitive to details, and he was very curious to know more. After finishing his pause, Jose returned to the path, exploring even further distances that brought him closer to his objective. Before continuing towards the top, he drank until he reached half of his entire water supply. Then, he came to a section where the road divided into two directions, one to the left and one to the right. After careful analysis, he determined that the path to the right would lead him to the top of the mysterious mountain that he so longed to explore. As 2 more hours of walking passed, fatigue began to become more evident in Jose's feet, which were wet and hot due to the shoes that protected him from the rocky terrain. The unusual distance he was covering was beginning to take its toll on his inexperienced feet, which resented the effort. After a time of tiring walking, Jose saw a bend in the path, and upon leaving it, he found the most beautiful and leafy oak tree he had ever seen. The tree was so imposing that it cast an exquisite and cool shadow, indicating to Jose that he had arrived at the perfect place to take his next rest. Without hesitation, he ran towards the trunk, and with one jump he launched himself to fall lying in the lap of that majestic oak tree. He arranged his backpack as a pillow, and without thinking twice, he let himself be carried away by fatigue and relaxed to enjoy a well-deserved rest that lasted in a comforting and revitalizing nap in the shade of the oak tree. Joseph's rest in that place was so pleasant that he forgot the time and place. The sleep was so deep that each passing moment only made him fall deeper. His body rejoiced in the freshness of the surroundings, and his feet regained tranquility with every moment. The singing of the birds and the whisper of the fresh wind gave a melody of relaxation to Jose on his journey through the unknown. Time was no longer essential as he watched Jose, feeling envious of not being able to stop like him to take a break. When you are so comfortable and so calm, time passes very quickly, and when Jose finally began to wake up, more than 4 hours had already passed since he arrived at the foot of the oak tree. Jose began to feel a little cold, and that was the reason why he could notice that the sun was beginning to go down to give way to a milder and colder afternoon. Jose was a little alarmed by the hour. It was already late, and he didn't know whether to return or continue. The destination no longer seemed so far away. The top of the mountain enticed him to explore and find something amazing. However, his stomach reminded him that he was hungry and thirsty, and upon checking his provisions, he realized that they were depleted. The decision was difficult. Should she turn back and seek shelter for the night, or press on toward the summit in search of something that would satisfy her appetite and his curiosity? Uncertainty surrounded him as the sun began to set behind the mountains, dyeing the sky with golden and pink tones. Joseph took a deep breath and, with determination, decided to continue his climb towards the top, hoping to find a spring or some wild fruit that would provide relief from his thirst and hunger. For the moment, we will leave the story at this point, but we will return to it in the next video.